On today's Minute of the Apes, I look over at Richard and I said, it's time for you to give us one of your teases that actually teases the minute. And my poor friend Richard, too much alcohol, still going through those veins. His mind's not here with us today.
My mind is not working, no.
You know what? Let's jar your mind. Here we go.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! Fine, Bob. The only good human is a dead human! There is fire, there is smoke.
The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes. The minute of the apes.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. And you know what? Before I even say who I am, who you are, you know what we haven't talked about yet? By the way, bitches, I unlocked Darth Revan on Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. I'm finally done with that shit. I am like, oh yeah.
Oh, we have not talked Star Wars.
And with our guild, sometimes with the whole, hey, way to go, bro. I'm like, I don't need that shit. But, oh, my God, I actually got the way to go, bro. Yesterday. I was like, well, look at that shit. People are proud of me.
What'd you do?
I unlocked Darth Revan.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That journey sucks because there's how when you unlock those characters, there's always those successive battles you have to do. The next to last one, or two before the end, you come up in the last phase of it against this one huge, big fucking robot, and then a bunch of other ones. And what you have to, I had to go research it. So when you ever get, do you have Darth Revan yet?
No.
I want you to remember this. When you get to that battle, do not kill all his minions.
Okay.
It feels like that's what you should do. You need to leave one alive. Because whenever they all die, he gets this immunity to where you simply can't kill him.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm fucking killing everybody. And I couldn't do him. And that's when I went and they said, whatever you do, leave one of them alive. And at that point, he's vulnerable. When one's still alive, then attack him. Don't attack him first because you won't win. But it's literally like the stupid shit. It's like this game.
You know what? Darth Malik can fuck off too.
Oh my gosh, really? I cannot. I can't defeat. I can't defeat any of the squads in the squad arena that has a Malik on it. I have a couple times, but barely.
Yeah, he's tough.
I mean, unlocking him is. I can get it down to where I've killed all his clones, and it's just him left, and then he just starts pounding on me.
That's what she said.
That's not.
All right.
I'm sure there's a fetish for that.
I'm sure there is. Minute
sure
74.
There's Rule 34 out there.
You know what? My fetish is, will you tell me about minute 74, Sean?
All right. We start minute 74 with Kulp seeing a survivor and ends with Kulp seeing Caesar always was.
All right. Here we come. Minute 74, Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Caesar. Your people weakened our city by rebelling against your human masters. But we who survive will create a new race. And you and yours will be brought low. And you shall learn again what it is to have a master. Ha! You're learning already. Clever ape.
Oh, no.
Ape. Clever ape. But then you always were.
As in minute 74, we have a rapidly dwindling village worth of apes and humans, plus a shrinking ghost city worth of radioactive people, and no more corny.
Visually, we see Kulp at the end of the previous shot where he's serving the dead. He looks over and we see Caesar coming around. Caesar stood up. We get a low angle shot of Kulp against some very pretty clouds. I must say that's a very pretty cloudscape. Then it's a back and forth between the two. Caesar kind of spins and retreats away. We go inside the hut with the doctor who was urging earlier that they must leave, who is now no longer seeming so urgent.
Yeah, but now we also know how close they are.
Yes, and so we get her looking out. She looks off to the side. Something draws her to that window. She looks to the side. Then she looks to the moment of action. She's, oh no, Lisa pops up almost like the little Jack in the Box. Doink, she's up in that shot. We then get a really powerful zoom into her eyes before we go back out with Kulp holding a gun on Caesar. Where do we begin?
You know, her popping up in comedy, to me it's always hilarious with framing when people do a lean in to something. So like you see a doorway and you just see somebody leaning in, or in the camera shot from outside the camera to inside the camera. That's always funny to me. So her popping up is like a lean in to me.
When it happened, I didn't remember that moment. I mean, so many of these things I've seen it so many times, I remember visually the things. Her popping up, I must have watched that 20 times because I just found it, whoop, whoop.
Let's see. Let's start with his dialogue. Your people weakened our city by rebelling against our human masters, but those of us who survived will build a new race. That would imply that there was some type of battle or fight in the city itself involving apes and humans, and that's why the city's destroyed.
But is he just
not a
talking
nuclear
about...
bomb? Even though they mention they've got a nuclear warhead, and that's how the city was destroyed to begin with. He's saying that the rebellion weakened the city from outside attacks.
See, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it weakened the city because the apes are no longer there. They killed the governor. You know, they took the guns and they started a revolution. And so maybe when they fucked off, the Russians figured, oh, now it's a good time to attack America or something.
I don't know. I mean, you weakened our city by rebelling against your human masters. What did they? Could they no longer? I'm trying to figure out what apes' servants were doing for them that would weaken their city. Agriculture. I mean, what? They had to learn how to take out their own trash. I mean, unless the fight between the apes and the humans in the city itself caused some type of destruction in the city, fires, whatever, and then conflict between humans happened that
maybe
wiped them out.
What we saw at the end of Conquest, maybe those little pockets of battling went on, and maybe that weakened defenses and that kind of shit. But the sense is that the destruction in the city itself was between warring nations, not necessarily apes and
setting off
humans.
nukes yeah.
Well, I do
because from what I assume, this has affected the whole world, not just this area. So, you know, there are no humans really left. It's just the mutants,
right? I want to at least be fair to Kulp in this moment. We've asked for him to have a little more emotion in these low angle shots. First off, the shots are great for him because it gives him that. That's right. It makes him powerful in the moment. He does have a little bit of, something boiling, even though I don't think it's the right boiling. It's more of a simmer instead of a boil, and at least he's bringing something to the moment. If it were paired with something that made a little more sense.
Well, yeah. So they're trying to give us some motivation, why he wants to see them destroyed, what he wants to do. He wants to, those of us survivable to new race, and you and yours will be brought low. So it gives a sense of more of why he wants to do this than we had at the beginning, other than he just wanted to go out and attack some apes. Learn again what it is to have a master. I mean, that the scenario he's describing is terrifying, right? I mean,
you're going to be a slave again,
right? We're going to go back to this moment before. I found it odd that Caesar's just kind of on the ground, and I find it odd that Lisa and the doctor are inside the hut, not aware of anything going on outside until that particular moment.
So let's talk real quick about Caesar. Caesar, once he's on the ground and gets up, is very fearful as he sort of pivots and turns amongst all of the humans, which is a good thing. It allows us to know that he feels trapped. Anyone listening to this has surely seen the film, and Tomorrow's Minute contains what I think is, amongst many ape-dumb fans, a very iconic moment. And I love that moment. I still think to pull it off with Caesar being on the ground, we should have seen an explosion and him cowering or something previous to this, so that you really want to pay off what's going to happen. We should have believed that Jeopardy was real. I don't believe it. And when he gets up, he's not even dirty.
Well, yeah. Remind the audience, we're still talking 1 minute at a time. We're not talking about future minutes or where we know this is going to go. Sean, I think does now because he's watched this particular minute.
Yeah, I mean,
going forward, but it's
The fact that Caesar gets up unharmed means that potentially every other ape can get up unharmed.
And if he was at least dirty
Or
if
had
there-
some blood on him.
yeah, something that told me that there has been a true moment of jeopardy.
I mean, even just tear his jacket a little
Or
bit.
burn it, singe it, anything.
I'm supposed to feel for Caesar and care for this particular, following him story throughout the entire movie, and he's just in peril. But I don't have that sense. I don't feel like
there's
he's
no-
just suddenly on the ground.
Right.
He's
Like-
just suddenly there and suddenly trying to be and trying to squirm away. And I wouldn't want to see my leader squirm like that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
If you think about it, I mean, one of the bad things about Black Widow, the movie, and spoilers for people who haven't seen it, she's basically immortal in the movie, and she gets in cars that get blown up, flipped in the air, slide downstairs, and her sister gets out and has a little bit of blood on her, and nothing happens to Scarlet Witch. She falls stories and stories and hits things, and then falls another stories and hits things, and then hits a dumpster and hits the ground on her feet. It's like, okay, we know the stakes. She's not going to die. Caesar has never been hurt in this movie. If he'd been shot in when the mutants first met,
Right.
and then he's still recovering from that, then Kulp can be like putting his finger literally into a wound and say, yeah, you think it is bad now, wait till we're back in charge. But yeah, we have no real danger for him.
I think that once again, it's got to be the studio pushing, that they're not thinking through. It's literally, at times, it feels like they're shooting the film to simply cover what they know needs to happen. I know I need to have him in a moment like this so that I can then do this. If you then, it's like cooking without any seasoning. You may put a piece of meat on your plate, but it doesn't taste like much. You get to this moment here with Caesar. I know he's scared. I know all these things. Even let's look ahead to the Doctor and Lisa. Okay, the fighting has stopped, so maybe that's why the Doctor, when we get over to her, and this shot occurs at 39 seconds, Lisa's still sitting by Cornelius,
yeah.
and the Doctor's now just over here looking very meh. It would have been nice to have her quickly shoving stuff in a bag to get out of there. That urgency needs to still be
because she was
here.
trying to get her to leave earlier.
And suddenly she is so non-involved that when she goes over, and you always talk about the things you hate in film.
Uh-huh.
What she does at that window is something I despise. If you've been drawn by the sound of something, we as
Kind of
humans,
had-
we kind of know where that sound's coming from. I don't need her looking up to the right. It's just silly.
You acted way too much on that gas.
Oh, did I really?
You just have to go, oh no.
That is true. She does look over to it and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
So, and then that's when Lisa pops up. I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's a little bit of a jump for me when Kulp says you're already learning clever ape. I'm like, what is he talking about? I didn't understand why he's constantly calling him a clever ape.
And the fact that he's saying it over and over again, and then they zoom on Lisa's eyes. I mean, what
So
is
It would have been nice in the previous film if Clever Ape had
Was
been something almost
an
like
insult.
the
Yeah.
N-word kind of thing, where you don't say to them, it's demeaning.
So the dialogue is pretty verbatim in the script. We are supposed to have the Doctor and Lisa kind of observe this moment. This is supposed to actually happen in the script. What's missing from here is the mutants watch Caesar as Kulp fires his flamethrower at him.
Oh.
Yes.
That would have been a great weapon
Yeah.
for him.
The apes then watch the humiliation of their leader.
He is flaming a little bit.
He's exhausted now, limping on all fours and crawling. He looks like an unevolved ape, reduced conditions, the ones who served Kulp and the others. He is still shaken by the explosion of the shell near him. He carries the weight of Cornelius' death still in his eyes. We see the fire that led him to the triumph and conquest. That's when Kulp is supposed to call him Clever Ape. So Kulp is supposed to do something specifically to
earn that comment.
To make Caesar look like he's unevolved again. Something, and a flamethrower would do that. Flamethrower would be
Absolutely.
that terrifying,
Right.
Conditioning kind of moment.
Yeah.
Would have been that thing. We don't have a flamethrower. Maybe he could have pistol whipped him. I don't know. Something along those lines to kind of get Caesar. Otherwise, Caesar's just kind of like.
I'm surprised they didn't actually have a whip on them.
That would have been
They
good
started
too.
whipping him.
But the Clever Ape line as it's shot doesn't really make sense. In the
I
script,
did not
I understand what
it at all.
In the script, I know what they were trying to
Right.
do. They were trying to make him look subservient. Once again,
Right.
And let's remember the most important question that we've had from the last couple of minutes: where the fuck is Aldo?
That is true.
I mean, still,
this
no
is
Aldo.
a long time if you're setting up something to leave it hanging, and especially
With
if
such-
Aldo has moved on to do a counter